Here is a very important concept. I told you there are A, B, C, D, E, 5 people and some graphical representation on them, right? I drew arrows between 2 people showing that A knows B and things like that. This is one way of representing a relation. There is yet another way which actually is very important, a way to represent this relation. And that way is called the matrix method. What do you mean by matrix method? It's pretty straightforward. You see A, B, C, D, E, 5 people, some sort of relationship between them. I can represent this using ones and zeros. How do I do that? Assume A knows B, then I'll write down A, B, C, D, E in a column like this and A, B, C, D, E in a row like this on top of the table, this table. And then if A knows B, I look at A's row and B's column, then put a 1 there. If A doesn't know D, I'll go to Ath row and Dth column and put a 0 there. If let's say C knows D, I'll go to Cth row, Dth column and put a 1 there. If C doesn't know E, Cth row, Eth column, I'll put a 0. Okay. So sometimes, see, A knows B, I have put a 1 in Ath row and Bth column, but B needn't know A. So Bth row and Ath column will have a 0. Quite easy, but is a very important concept in the sense that we will be using it quite often throughout this chapter. So we will be giving you more examples which will make it very clear, but what you all should note is there is this important representation of a relation called a matrix representation. Why the word matrix? Whatever you have written here is actually a matrix. Basically, you should complete this. There will be some more zeros and ones coming here depicting who knows who. Let me illustrate this with a nice example. You see here A knows B and hence Ath row and Bth column will have a 1. B also knows A, so Bth row and Ath column will be a 1, right? A knows E, so A and E is 1. E knows A, so E and A is 1. E knows B, but B doesn't know E, you see. So E knows B, so Eth row and Bth column is 1, but Bth row and Eth column is not 1. Note that, right? C knows E, E knows C. So Cth row E column is 1, Eth row C column is 1. ED know each other, so let me write that DE and ED. CD knows each other, so Cth row and Dth column is 1 and Dth row and Cth column is also 1. So Bth row and Cth column is actually 0, correct? Everything else is accurate. Now please note that in the diagonal we have written ones, which simply denotes that a person knows himself, right? So this is just for convenience. We can maybe write the entire diagonal elements as zeros or all as ones. It is based on the context, alright? In this context, we are assuming that everyone knows oneself, which by the way is something that is true. So we write it as ones.